Hey, how you doing? It's Mr. Producer. GIE Plus Expo is coming back October the 20th through the 22nd, and Brian looks forward to seeing you all there. Now, if you haven't registered yet, do so now and get 50% off the registration price with the promo code BRIAN. And of course, I'll have a link for you in the show description.
You're now listening to the Fullerton Unfiltered podcast. Straightforward, no-nonsense business advice. Completely unfiltered. Grow your business. Grow your life. Now, here's your host, Brian Fullerton.
Hey, what's going on, guys? This is Brian Fullerton here with the Fullerton Unfiltered podcast. We are ready to rock and roll today with another fun podcast and episode with you guys. We have none other than another guest on the podcast with us, Andrew Martinez, over here with Southern Suns Landscape Management down from Dallas, Texas. What's going on, Andrew? Good morning.
Morning, my friend. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely, brother. How you doing this beautiful, Saturday morning here?
Well, it's the morning.
Yeah.
I'm not like all the grown up real landscapers out there at 4 or 5 a.m. Chopping wood out in the backyard. I'm struggling. I'm struggling at best at 6. So
yeah. A lot of these guys that get up, they have their Black Rifle coffee, they got their flannel on, they're chopping wood. Like sometimes I'm like the guy that wakes up at 7:30 to be somewhere at 7:45. You know what I'm saying? But no,
my kind of man, my man.
So, Caleb Albin gets up at 5.
Thank you.
Caleb Albin gets up at 5:30. He does his devotional. He writes in his journal. He answers all of his messages, and then Fullerton's waking up by the time he's headed out the door, so just having fun. But anyways, right. Hey, we wanted to do a little guest interview here today. So many of you guys know Andrew. He's on Instagram, and he's been to a lot of our live events, and we just see him, all throughout the industry and different places wherever we all go. And so we want to just kind of hear his startup story a little bit, get to hear how things are going on down in Texas, which, by the way, are you guys dealing with heat? Are you guys dealing with rain? How's the season going so far?
Okay, so it's kind of a flurry of everything. Like, we had that crazy winter storm that I call it the 100-year storm. I don't know when the last time we had something that severe, that prolonged back in February.
Yeah.
I know y'all are accustomed to that kind of stuff, but we are just not outfitted for that kind of work. But it was not work, but climate. I mean, we got snow, we got ice. I mean, just blistering cold. And so I don't know if that has something to do with it. I'm not a meteorologist, but that totally got us racked. I mean, that started the season off pretty bad. So we somewhat got started on I guess the regular time frame got started in March, and we kind of went from there. Now, to answer your question, we're dealing with humidity and the classic Texas heat. It's just that kind of. I tell guys all the time, and my friend who works with me and my buddies and stuff, I'm like, I don't really mind the heat. I mean, it sucks. Don't get me wrong, but I mean, the heat's the heat. It's what we signed up for. But it's just that draining, that life force draining humidity.
Yeah.
Dude, you're out for like first few hours into it. You're just like, okay, I know this is my passion. I want to do this, but what am I doing out here?
Well, it's like you're breathing through like a wet rag, Like I don't mind the heat.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's exactly what it feels like.
We were dealing with the same stuff up here in Michigan for the last 2+ weeks of just, literally 90 degrees, and then with the real fuel and the humidity, it's like 97, right? And we don't get a ton of that, but yeah. And I'll also be honest, like we're not acclimated to that. Like you guys down in Florida and Texas deal with this a little bit more than we do. So like your 90 is my 80. You know what I mean? Your 100 is my 90. Gotcha. So people are like, well, it's not as hot up here. I'm like, yeah, bro, but like it's all relative. We're not acclimated to the Florida heat or the Texas heat. Right. So when we get 97, I mean, dude, we're dying. You just like when you
I hear you. No, for sure. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
You.
Just like when you guys get 110, you're like, man, it's a brutal day, but 100's okay, but 110, you're like, man, that's a little excessive. But
yeah, at that degree, you can literally feel the difference in 1 degree tick. It's like, oh
man. And I posted on Instagram the other day, when you start getting this sweat beating down your forearm to like your elbow, and it's just dripping off, and you're like, yeah, it might be a little hot today, but
because I don't know how it is for everybody else out there, just But me, just because I had, I would go up to Illinois to visit my grandparents through the summers, and
sure,
as a kid thinking, oh, North Pole, Canada, kind of cooler weather and stuff. No, not at all. We went up there, and man, yeah, I sweated and it was hot and stuff, going to the zoos as a kid and stuff. And
yeah,
just the same as down here. And I'm like, well, I don't get it. It's like 700 miles north. Anyways.
Well, I'm glad I'm not the only one out there that's dealing with the same, weather conditions. I always say, like, if it's not the heat, it's the rain. If it's not the rain, it's employee issues. And then if it's not employee issues, it's heat and rain. So it's like the good, fast, and cheap, like pick two. It's feel like it's like the same thing with lawn care, man. There's always two of those three going on, and that's the truth right there. But
sounds like you've been doing this for a little while.
Yeah, well, it's I always say there's no new surprises typically, but then again, every time I say that, I always get nervous because then out of nowhere somebody says, "Hey, man, you ever see this before?" And I'm like, wow, like always pushing the envelope, right? So,
that's right, man.
Well, let's do this. Let's hear from today's show sponsors, and then we're gonna come right on back. I want to hear a little bit more of your startup story and what you guys got going on. And if you guys can't tell, Andrew and I, we're pretty much buds. We've been able to. He's come to both of our live events. We got to know him and his family, and we definitely text on Instagram at least every other day or so. So it's always cool just to catch up with other lawn bros, see what's going on in their neck of the woods, and just to hear a little bit more of his story and any nuggets of wisdom that he wants to pass on to you guys. So let's do this. Before we go down the rabbit hole, a lot of you guys know that we really appreciate the show sponsors that support the show, and we couldn't do it without them. It takes a lot of time and energy to bring these shows to you guys Monday, Wednesday, Friday. So let's kick it over to Marty, Mr. Producer. We're going to hear from today's announcements, and then we're going to come right on back.
Marty here, and new for you at Launchpreneur Academy, it's Brian's tried and true rate adjustment letter. This is a professional letter. It's downloadable and editable and designed to help you communicate to your customers that the rate's going to be increasing. It really is a great tool to use, as we all should be increasing our rates year over year. Now, what if you've got a customer that you misquoted a price for? Maybe it was a $45 cut, and you got to have that awkward conversation about why the new price is going to be $60 for the upcoming season. And that's certainly no $2 to $3 increase. Let the letter do the talking for you. The language is in there to help explain why your prices are going to jump that $2 to $3 per week as a price increase, or why the price is going up $15 or more per cut as a rate adjustment. Yes, most of your customers are going to absorb that rate increase for the weekly mowing, but don't be afraid to put your foot down and readjust those rates for the lawns that are just totally underpriced. Now, you can send this form out via email or snail mail. Go ahead and do that now. Let it communicate in a very professional manner that your rates are going up. Most of your customers are going to stick with who they know and trust. That's you, by the way, not with some unknown chuck in the truck and sign up with a new service. Go ahead, put your foot down, get those better rates, make the profit that you know you should be making in your business, all with this new, simple-to-use, plug-and-play, editable rate adjustment letter. Download it now at launchpreneuracademy.com.
All right, good deal, guys. Well, Andrew, let's go right back to you, man. We got a limited amount of time this morning. You're actually on family vacation. I've got a bunch of podcasts lined up today, a little podcast marathon. But where are you guys at right now? You said you're on a little 3-day family vacation down somewhere in Texas?
Yes, we're in Galveston, which for those who are not, I guess everybody knows of NASA and everything like that. But for those who are unfamiliar, about an hour and a half, 2 hours, maybe a little bit more south of where we all were at here just a little while back at Together in the Trade.
Yeah.
So we're down here on the coast, enjoying the family, taking a few days, spending some of that cash from cutting that grass.
Yeah, amen.
And just kind of kicking it up. Got a good buddy of mine here. Shout out to K&J Landscape Maintenance. He's down here with me, and we're just trying to make a go of it before we have another dripping week ahead of us.
Yeah,
so.
Amen. I actually know Galveston a little bit. I went there for the port for a cruise. I don't know if it was.
That's right. I actually just saw a Carnival ship here, here right up the road.
Wow,
those things are massive, man.
Dude, they are like they're crazy big. We did a couple back-to-back Carnival cruises. Like
Awesome.
Like 07, 08 or something with my family. But then, well, I forgive me, I don't know what hurricane, but something rolled through and just like turned Galveston into a sandbar, which is unfortunate. That was, maybe a decade ago. And so all the cruise ships, they started leaving out of like Miami and Fort Lauderdale from there forward, and, but I remember us flying into Dallas and then driving that 2-hour stretch down to Galveston's coast. And I fell in love with Texas back then, man. I said, like, if I ever had to move, it would be the Texas area, Dallas, Fort Worth area. Because it was just the roads were beautiful. Texas was beautiful. I was like, hey, I'll go plug in the Joel Osteen's church. Here we go. So,
well, you kind of saw the touristy kind of, in that middle, that Central Texas and East Texas, like middle ground. You saw all that kind of develop.
Okay.
So you get into the heart of Texas, man, right in the middle. I mean, it's just like those what everybody, kind of has that thought about. It's just, 2-lane highway, and it's just like a flat Sahara. Bam, But you got to see all the good stuff. That's where,
yeah.
So I'm glad, man. Well, from the climate of everything and what everybody talks about, come on down. Hey, sounds like you can pick up some affordable. Well, you already made an investment out there, so you kind of stuck. But
yeah, hey,
man.
I could turn it into farmland. We can still bale hay on there, and actually, that's what they did with the land for like 20 years. So actually, funny tangent. My neighbor comes out while I'm mowing it, and he goes, "I can't believe you guys didn't just keep, making it a hay farm, whatever." Like I'm a city, remember? So they baled hay at it on our property, and my neighbor comes out. He goes, "Yeah, you could have had somebody else take care of it for a year or two while you're getting ready to build and made some money at the same time." And I'm like, well, where were you with that phone number, homie? So
right.
Every week.
Have you ever heard of laying stripes, bro?
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Do you even stripe, bro?
he's like, man, it takes you 2 hours to mow this thing and to load up, and you and your guys. And I'm like, yeah, I had one of you guys DM me when I was shopping for land. You said, keep it under 5 acres. And I said, why? And he goes, it's fun to mow 5 acres when you're getting paid for it. He goes, when you're not getting paid for it, mowing 5 acres sucks. And
that's right.
I was like,
good word, man.
Yeah, that was some good perspective, man. So we got 3.5 over there and living the dream. But let's talk about you and your startup story. So how long have you guys been in business, and what's your guys' story? Give us the 5 or 6 minute Cliff Note version here.
Sure. Well, in a nutshell, man, I guess the long-term, way back rearview mirror version of it is, and that's what I tell everybody the last year I've been on is, I mowed in high school, mowed in kind of like early high school, didn't do a whole lot in junior high or anything. I call it my paintball and girlfriend money. That's what I did back in the day, I never really put 2 and 2 together, like, Ballard and like this Patoshnik guy that I followed for years, where they had like full on businesses and crews, when they were like 16 and 17 running crews. But no, I did that. That's where I kind of started, got my feet wet there. The first stretch for me to being close to professional service, I just was that neighborhood kid, right?
Yeah.
And moving forward, grew up and I guess didn't hit it again until I got laid off the job. That I was in jewelry for some years, and then I filed Chapter 11, exited there. I just kind of jump started it back up again with mom and dad's unused minivan and my Briggs non-self-propelled Galana mower and my old weed eater from high school, my John Deere weed eater. I don't even know if they make that anymore.
John Deere weed eater, wow.
That's right, bro. I mean, it was John Deere. Well, you know of it. It was a weed eater, man.
I've never heard of it. That's interesting. That's awesome.
Hopefully I can find a picture of it. I've been wanting to, I've always kind of thought in the back of my mind, like if I ever get a shop or a full barn or have like an office space like a Ballard or, some of these big places, I'd like to have my showroom where I get a van and all the stuff I started off with, clean it obviously and make it like and put it in the showroom and say, this is where it started. Yeah. The soccer mom,
That is cool, man. It actually is really cool when you get to like go to so like Ballard, you get to see his stuff on Instagram sometimes, and he's got his his first motorcycle from like 1994, and like their first whatever, all their first, we went to the I think it was the Steel headquarters for like an influencer event, whatever that means, and there was like a dozen of us that went there, and they showed us through this really cool like glass showroom. It was like looked like an IKEA maze, and you got to like see the whole like moving history, right, of the whole company. And
yeah, that's pretty sweet.
It was actually really, really dope. Like the first chainsaws, and they're all like antiques and all this other stuff.
Cool, man. I dig that stuff. I think that's awesome. If you can, I think us landscapers, lawn care guys, and I think just people in the trades period, we're just so focused on what's in front of us and trying to get the job done and collect that check that I think, and that's been my problem over the years, is not getting before and afters, not getting semblance and things like that. I just never stopped to smell the roses that way. So when I hear about that kind of stuff, I'm glad they did that, because that takes someone or that extra effort in the mix of it all to really stop and really appreciate that. So 10, 20, 40 years down the line, when you're handing it down to your children or you're selling it off or whatever, it's like, man, that's like a stamp of approval. This is where we started. Here's the original. Here's a graduation through time. That's awesome, man. I love that kind of stuff.
Yeah, and who really does a good job for that for me? That's my wife. Like she's really good at like capturing the moment. Like she. Yeah. I don't know. Maybe that's awesome. I think ladies in general are just really good to like live in the now. Sometimes. I mean, guys always think about the future. Ladies typically think about the here and now. And honestly, it's good to balance, right? But at the same point, I'm glad that she captures like photos, and I'm always like,
good for her. I'm glad. That's great. Good for her.
I don't know if you guys listening in are ever like that, but like my wife's always like, let's take a photo, let's grab this, or this is really pretty, or she'll like walk up to a tree and like take a photo of like a leaf or a flower, and I'm like, what are you doing? We have to go. Like, how does this doesn't make us money, so I'm always glad that she stops. I know. She always stops to smell the rose. Even on my own Instagram, like I barely take before and afters. I'm like Mr. Social Media, and I literally forget to like take photos. I'm like, we're working. I don't know. I still struggle with that too.
No, I hear you. And that's what I'm talking about. And I just think that's part of the curse of running a business or all this. I mean, even your top big time CEOs probably struggle with the same things, or they're smart enough early on to make that part of the task for a secretary or, someone kind of running around, kind of mopping up behind them or something. I mean, dare I even say that's probably one of the most important jobs to have, or when Liz is doing that for you guys, that's super important, because that's the whole reason. I remember you said back some podcasts ago, where, you're on here, you're doing this for your kids, for your family, where you're documenting all this. That's where you kind of got the YouTube started. You're documenting that. So if she's not doing that alongside with the YouTube videos, then they're going to miss out on so much more of the T crossing and the I dotting in your life and business development. Of course, you're all being, so I'm glad that she does it, man. It's really, really good. She grabs the like the family stuff, and that's like, when I've just heard somebody talk about this on a podcast that I was listening to. It was like the same thing. They said nobody's going to care about any of the equipment, any of the tools, any of the business stuff. You're just going to remember your family, right? When you're 80 years old, and absolutely.
And so I'm trying to remember that too, and I so that's why I always like, for many reasons, but I always appreciate Liz taking photos of like the family or us. And actually, I'll give you guys a good one. And Andrew, let me know if you've ever heard this one. Somebody, actually, I know who it was. My friend Alex, who is the sales manager over at Weingart's. He runs the floor over at the Weingart's location over there. He gave us a really good pro tip. He said, because he knows that we're having a baby girl, and he said, hey, one thing that I said, what's your best tip? What's your best parenting tip or fatherly tip, right? Thought it was a good question to ask. He goes, hey, I'll give you an answer, but something a little different than what you might be thinking. He said, start an email account for your daughter and send videos to that email account of her and you guys and anything you want to pass on. That way she has them in her email, for arguably forever, right? And
never would have thunk that. Wow, that's pretty cool.
Isn't that?
I never even would have thought of something like that.
I thought that was like the coolest thought I have ever heard. And I think he said he got it.
Totally workable based on what you and I were just talking about. That's totally workable because just flying from day to day. Oh, I love this. Shoot an email. That's what we do every day.
Yeah, every day we're grabbing a photo. I mean, one of my friends, Austin from Ditch to Itch.
Wow.
A lot of you guys know Austin. He made her an Instagram. I think it's like private or unlisted or whatever. Or nobody knows who the baby is, right? But he made an Instagram for her. But same thing. Like Liz and I created an email account for our baby. Like so, it's already her name, and so that way, like we're gonna be doing these sit down videos and doing this like, hey, like we're your parents. Like we just want to say hey, and then dude, like when she's like 30, she can like go back and watch that stuff when we're like 70 or whatever, and it's I don't know.
Right. That's neat, man.
That I mean, I'm turning into a family man sap over here, but I love it, So, but
well, it's about time, bro. That's awesome. And hey, can I just take a second and I want to congratulate you on your child. I was one of the guys there to hear of y'all's testimony. I had a chance to speak with you and Liz for a second on in LAL last year, and
yeah,
that's awesome. I'm glad that y'all kept pushing forward. I'm just so happy to know that when we spoke about that, even at that point, y'all were, I think, said a few weeks or 8 or 9 weeks pregnant at that in LAL. Is that right?
Yeah. So,
am I off a little bit?
So we were 8 months or 8 months. We were 8 weeks pregnant. We lost our baby. We had a miscarriage, and that was about probably about a month or 6 weeks before Launchpreneur Academy. And so at Launchpreneur Academy, we did our talk, and we had mentioned the struggle that we were dealing with, and I said like we're gonna end on a high note. We're gonna have a family. We're gonna figure this out. And honestly, like I was really surprised. I mean, real talk, like I was surprised. We had about 20, 30 people in the audience pull us aside after for the rest of the evening and say, hey, we dealt with the same thing, or a couple miscarriages. And it's just one of those things you don't really talk about in society, right? Like, but it happens. I mean, and it's tough, and I mean, you're heartbroken, and like it's almost like, what do you say, right? And but we didn't know is that Liz was actually pregnant while we were at Launchpreneur Academy. We had just got pregnant.
So you didn't even know that? You didn't know that? Oh, wow. Damn. Okay.
I'm literally on stage, like speaking and professing, like we're going to get pregnant and have a beautiful family and baby. And I think we were, don't quote me, but probably 4 to 6 weeks pregnant. And we didn't even know. And wow. I mean, that just kind of gives me goosebumps a little bit. But so it's just cool, like doing life together with so many of you. I mean, we know each other. We're all getting to know each other. We have that thin thread, that loose thread that kind of connects us all, and it's traditionally our work and what we all do. But I genuinely care about you guys out there, and people think it's a
likewise, man. Likewise,
yeah.
That was reciprocated at events like that, and I'm glad that you do that because it's so easy to get wrapped up in the humdrum of podcasting work and just kind of creating content and all that.
Yep.
But launching these last few live events, you're able to actually see people and catch the inflections and see everybody's joy that you've actually been able to invest with them. You see that. I mean, that's the bouquet of y'all's fruit and labor of y'all's toiling in your labor. That's the bouquet of fruit there that you're able to see with everyone. And your transparency, man, Liz's and all that, just putting all that out there, that's super personal stuff. And can I just, you're an encouragement to people, not just on the lawn care business aspect and encouragement aside, but also in personal things like that. I mean, that's just, thanks for doing that. And I mean, that doesn't fall on deaf ears. And I think seeing the different followings that you've got both online and in these events, and even as you see people around town that catch you, that's great. That's making monumental impacts in people's lives for, literally decades to come, because there's just, I don't know if you're this way. I know for me, with education and self-educating and being in business, all this stuff, sometimes, and then in family, on the family aspect, sometimes I'll remember a sentence or one word from my dad or a friend or something I heard from, let's say, one of you guys or something. Mm-hmm. You could spill hours and hours and hours of content out there, but there's just one thing that sticks in somebody's mind, and it just keeps rotating for years and years and years. So the kind of good quality content and the transparency you're putting out there, there's no telling, Brian, what kind of impact you guys and the community's making on each other and what you are on them.
Well, thanks,
so
man.
You just keep going, man. You just keep going. Be encouraged. I know sometimes you can get kind of weary with these jokers that try to get online, and I never knew that. When you told me that, oh yeah, people are saying this crazy stuff in our text messaging and our DMing here. You're like, oh yeah, people send all this weird stuff. I'm like, I never realized, it's like, why? Why would you waste your time on someone you don't even know, and then you go buy their product?
Right. Yeah,
that's kind of oxymoronic. I don't know.
It's a jungle out there, man. I just don't, because I asked somebody once, actually I asked Top Notch Lawn Care, him and I were down at an event, and I said, Brian, like, I'm dealing with this stuff, like, why? He goes, I just don't understand. He goes, because you're not like that. You won't understand. He goes, don't even try to understand. And it really helped me out about, 2 years ago. A little fatherly like conversation from him. A lot of you guys know Brian Shane, and he's a great dude out there. And
absolutely.
He needs to make more content. He's making videos again now, but he had this like hiatus for a year or two. But I'm like, I kept poking him. I'm like, dude, like we need you, like the bat signal. But no, one funny thing I had to say. Kind of relating to what you were talking about is, and I appreciate the kind words too. I mean, we don't profess to have it all figured out, like by any means, but I will say that I was listening to the Growing Green Landscapes a couple of days ago, and Zach Wildy was on there, and these guys were talking about like good debt versus bad debt, and growing their company and things that was working for them, and bottlenecks, and how they were just having breakthrough. And they're like, yeah, like I was listening to Brian, and then Brian said this, and we did a coaching call, and he goes, I had to make my own decision, but he goes, he gave me perspective, and so then I executed on this, and I just, he kind of gave me the confidence to do what I knew I needed to do, is basically the point.
Isn't that awesome?
Yeah. And,
dude, I mean, that's just so great, man. You said Growing Green, that's with Jeremiah, right?
Yeah, he's, where is he based out of? He's out of... Yeah,
Alabama, I think.
That's right. We got to see them at Together the Trades. They were, it was just really, really cool to like see that.
Yeah. When I got there at 10:30 at night, I thought that all of the responsible adult old people would be already in bed, ready to kick it off in the morning. I walk in at the hotel at 10:30, and you were there. Jeremiah was there, and a couple of the other guys, and I'm like, you're still doing up. Don't you have like a big day tomorrow?
we never sleep, man. That's a fact, but it is cool just
you can sleep when you're dead.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, I am not one of those people. I'm like, yo, I need 8 hours, bro. So I
just did go ahead. I'm sorry, bro.
Well, no, I was saying I did the live on 4, 5, 6 hours of sleep thing for like the last 4.5 years, doing YouTube and the lawn care company, and just getting like things off the launching pad. And we still are, but like we're working in a different capacity now. It's a little bit more scheduled, but that was not the case for the last 5 years. And then even the first decade of my lawn care company, it was just, I don't know, man, it was just all over the place. There was no structure, no systems, but I don't know.
And I think that's why he has such a great following, because that's the average guy out there. Let me go ahead and circle back to you on the on starting up and all that.
Yeah,
you got a Jeremiah Jennings who's 21 years old. He went through a little ordeal, but he's got a podcast starting. He's got this awesome little business going.
Mm-hmm.
Dude, I promise you, if guys like yourselves and OGs out there didn't do what they didn't do without not knowing the future, those guys wouldn't be out there. It's because of guys like you. Dude, that's how I started, Brian. That's why I started listening to I found you on the YouTube, on the YouTube. I found you on that first.
On the www.
I found you on that first, and I thought, oh, that's pretty cool, man, amongst other things there. And then when I heard your story, that's where I think a lot of people resonate, kind of going back to where my beginnings were. That's how it was. I think I was just kind of throwing Jell-O up against the wall, nailing Jell-O up against the wall, trying to make it stick for about, maybe 7, 8, 9 years.
Wow.
And then I'm finally starting to gain some traction, I think, from, I got a good friend here that I do landscaping with. He helps me out a lot. Listening to good, fresh, solid, quality contact daily, and not filling your head with just fun music and all that. You're actually keeping yourself stimulated mentally as you're doing the work. If you're not out of the field yet, that's like yourself, me, and the other owner operators out there.
Yeah.
But yeah, man. As I, through the years, had we had all of that out there, and yeah, that's kind of cliche now. I think it's been said so much, but had I had that kind of stuff when we first started, no telling where we'd be. Like a Caleb, you know, he gave it a go and wrecked it, and now he always says he's 10 years behind. What if there was a Brian or a Caleb or a Top Notch or you know, in the amount that was out there, that probably maybe wouldn't have happened.
Right.
You know, but then, you know, because I was on the podcast with Jeremiah with Growing Green Landscapes here a few days back.
Yeah.
And just listening to the guy, man. I mean, it's like I was not there when I was 21. I'm like, I just wasn't. You know, I mean, I was barely engaged, and I just wasn't there, man.
Yeah.
So I mean,
I feel you.
So, I mean, so I was just like you, man. 10 years of just, you know, nailing Jello to the wall. And then finally, after, I guess over the last few years, we just really, you know, started to kind of gain traction. We're running really lean now. Just kind of visiting that again.
Yeah. Give us an update. Where are you guys at now?
So I started out with a business, and I partnered up with somebody in 14, good friend of mine. We're still good friends. So we separated 2-3 years into it. And that was actually a really good separation. And, he and I worked something out, and I'm still running into that same business name. We're still good friends. I actually stood up in his wedding.
Oh, cool.
And then now, over the last couple of years, I mean, we've had everything from four crews running at one time. We had a tree division, we had a construction division, 2 trucks running maintenance, you know, and I kind of was wearing all hats even at that time. And then over the last, I would say 3 years, I've just been trying to run lean, man. You know, I'm like, I don't have the most beautiful equipment anymore. I sold off my big box truck that I had that I would work out of. You know, I was paying, you know, $1,000 a month between insurance and a payment on it. I was paying $1,000 a month on that. And at the place I was in life, I'm like, you know, my truck is not as beautiful, but I don't really think people care, you know, my clients anyways.
Right.
The lawn care community is different. They want to see a big, beautiful rig like yours, or, you know, that's different. Okay.
Yep.
I'm not there. I don't have a big YouTube channel, so I don't need that. So anyways,
that's awesome.
So I sold that off, broke even on that. And that's just kind of how it was, getting rid of debt, you know, just kind of starting to focus more on making wiser decisions, learning how to say no on certain things, and really starting to run a lot more lean. You know, it's like I keep the blade sharp. We got working equipment. It's not the most beautiful equipment, but you know what? Lawns still look good. I still retain clients. We're starting to densify a bit better than we had in years' time. And that's where I'm at now. I'm owner operator. I'm running the truck. I got a good buddy of mine that decided to come on full time with me. So he's wanting to grow the business for me. He's got onto the vision with us, and
cool.
So we're out here doing that now.
What's
pretty much where we're at.
What's like the day to day? Like, are you guys you said mowing, doing some light landscaping? I would imagine. Like, how many clients are you guys?
Right, yeah.
How many accounts are you guys taking care of weekly right now, and or biweekly, or what do you guys do down there?
Sure. So I've got, I think my CRM platform tells me I have about 120, 130 clients.
Okay, cool.
I think we're probably mowing a little over 100 every week. So I think we're knocking out anywhere from about 18 to 21, 22 lawns a day.
Wow. Cool.
And
cool.
That's Monday through Friday. And I've gotten to the point, bro, and this is the other thing that really made a difference in my life, work-wise, and this kind of really came from the community and listening to you guys, and I have to say even Paul Jameson, I started thinking this way, but then when I started listening to him about the contractors and contracting, I like mowing lawns. I like, doing that light work. I don't even mind trimming a bush here and there, but you know what? I don't want a whole route set up for bush trimming. I'm not into the installs, I mean, I'll do the softscape like the flowers and mulch and things, but I've gotten to the point now where I've got a few guys that I know and I trust that I can get those jobs done. So I can mow all week, and then towards the end of the week, I'll let them go. I'll sub it out to them. I'm rambling now, but I'll sub it out to them.
That's good.
So fence work, all that other stuff, I don't sell it, but if my customers or clients refer me to people, or if they're requesting that stuff, I'll go in there and I'll bid it now. And then I'll just, if the planet's lining up just right, I'll get them to get in there and do it, man.
No, that's solid. I mean, and that's why I was just curious because one thing that I'm kind of noticing, and I've just seen like the macro conversation over the last 18 months is that like a lot of guys had like a couple mow crews, and then they have like the stuff that makes them money. They would say like the landscaping, the hardscaping, the pruning, right? But
I know where you're going with that.
I've also noticed like a lot of guys are scaling back and they're just doing their mowing now because we have profitable mowing. And
That's right.
I just think like the last couple of years, like mowing was not a very profitable endeavor for a lot of people. Newsflash, myself included. Like we're doing I just got dinner with Bedell a couple days ago, and I was telling him some numbers, and I'm like, dude, like we're making money like with the lawn company. I'm like,
that's awesome, man.
I'm like, bro, like we're banking, good money every month. And he's like, good for you. I'm like, dude, Liz and I, like, we don't live on very much of our income. Like,
I see.
So it's like, but yeah, dude, that is Bedell. Did you just do the Bedell? He goes, really?
I did.
Oh my God, dude.
I don't know him and converse with him like I do with you and a couple of the other guys, but dude, that's awesome. I think you're right. I think I want to just a stranger send him a mug that just says,
That's what he did, dude. That is Bedell. And I love Bedell. That's like Bedell. Like that's his mannerism. I mean, he goes, really? And he just leans back like he's like 32 going on 52, like a sage, But
sorry to interrupt you, but you're on a good roll there.
I mean that's the like you're like more evidence and other guys out there that you can have a successful mowing company and a mowing route and one crew. And I told Bedell, I'm like, hey, he knows my numbers in my company. I'm like, hey, we're only one crew, one route, but this thing's doing a couple $100,000. I said, we're very like optimized one crew, one business. And, other guys might have a mow route that does $60,000 gross and they make 10, 20 off of it. And it's like, dude, you can do 150, 250 with one crew, one route, couple guys. Instead of having 3 mow crews making you $60,000 gross, there's a company here that they're a big name company. I'm not going to name their name and throw them under the bus. I don't need to. They're a successful company, but they don't make a lot of money on their mowing. I talked to their mow crew guys at a Wendy's one day, and I'm like, hey, just how you guys doing? What are you guys making? And how, and you get the right employee, and he's just just the loose lips, right? And he's like, oh, dude, we do this, and yeah, man, this is a $30 cut. This one's 40. This one's 24, and he's telling. Yeah, and it was really like insightful conversation, and I'm like, well, what do you guys do for gross on the mow crew per year? He goes, oh, well, we hit it hard, man, like 60 to 70. And I was like, in just mowing? I go.
That's current. That's now.
That was like a year ago. I had this conversation. Well, maybe 18 months ago. It wasn't COVID year.
Okay.
But and that's not bad, right? It's not bad. But I'm like, we do a little bit more than that. And I was like, I just realized there's still people can optimize their mowing and getting the rate increase letters from myself or Paul. Like if you guys haven't raised your rates and got your mowing to where it's profitable, you can run a profitable mowing company. I just it's exciting to me, and to hear you are like another testimony for example, that you don't need to have all this crazy overhead to finally get over the $100,000 net income profit mark. Like that's you don't have to have like 4 guys in box trucks and all this stuff. You can, nobody's telling you not to, but you can still have like DJ.
The old saying goes, work smarter, not harder.
Yeah. I mean, DJ Aldrich out there, a bunch of other guys out there, and don't get me wrong, you can make a lot of money pruning and a lot of money doing installs. I'm not saying you don't do that. It's just exciting to me to see so many of you guys listening in. We're mow and blow guys. We love cutting grass. We don't want to deal with all the heavy equipment and all the overhead. And we just quote unquote stay in your lane. And I like that because my lane is wide open, and so
I'd like to interject. I'd like to capitalize on that as far as there's one crew that I actually, and he's a big name, so I'll just tell it. Jonathan Patoshnik he has a big company. He's not even involved to the day-to-day anymore. He hadn't for years, but he's out here in my neck of the woods, in my Metroplex. That's where his big company is. And Brian, he had his stuff down to a science, and that's what kind of gave me promise before, because I started watching his YouTube videos even before Geek Freak back in 09, 10, and 11, and then I ran into Greg Chisholm. But
and
what you and I are talking about is profitability and mowing. this guy, he's so humble. We actually went to lunch one time, and I was just kind of picking his brain about stuff, and just kind of asking him about the business and everything. And even then, bro, this, I guess now 12, 13 years ago,
right.
11, 12 years ago, I was like, well, what's your strategy, man? I mean, because I see these divisions on your website, flowers, and he's like us, softscape. I think he's into the pest control and all that kind of stuff now and irrigation. But he, even back 10, 11, 12 years ago, he said the most profitable thing in his company is the lawn mowing. That's where we make most of our money. And bro, he has a whole science behind it. Like, he dominates neighborhoods. He gets in there, he blankets it with flyers. He does the online stuff where it's selective just to that zip code, to that area, to that neighborhood. Mm-hmm. If you're getting on your Facebook, it's just, it's popping up on there. And he was on top of everything. And he had that mindset years and years ago, but there was only one of those guys online. Right. Not all of these guys like what we have now. So it was very hard to find him. And I don't even think now he's up to a following like what you got and everybody else. You don't need to, but
he's not. Yeah, he's not trying to do what we're all doing. But if you guys don't, if you guys don't know who Andrew's talking about, that's Jonathan. I don't know how to say his last name. Potoshnik.
Potoshnik. I think it's Potoshnik. Yeah,
Potoshnik. If you guys haven't followed him on Lawn Care Millionaire, he's like one of those OGs out there. But he runs a software CRM to manage your business called Service Autopilot, which I know a lot of you guys out there use as well. Little endorsement for those guys, but. And I stumbled upon tons of his videos, back 5-6 years ago. I can't like target any one video that like dramatically changed anything, but I did watch an aeration video once where he had a couple kids on there talking about making like $100 and you get your buddy to do it for 20 and you make 80 and I'm like, yeah, like this is awesome, man. Like if you're 17, 18, 19 and you're trying to figure out how to make some summer cash, I mean, literally. Right. Go get some aeration signs, do 10 aerations, you make $500 in a weekend. And when you're 17, 18 years old, dude, like that's $5,000. That's $20,000 to us today.
It is, man. I don't care who you are. That's right, man. And that guy there. And so, I mean, he had your mindset, our mindset now, back then, and he was making money in lawn, like going back to what you're saying, lawn mowing specifically, and the art of lawn mowing and the placements and the density but one thing so he's been doing that for a while, and so he was kind of my look to before this community really blew up because of you guys. But now, I have to, and the next step that I really appreciate about the whole community and what you and Paul and everybody put out there, and I think even Julio Tomei may have something now where these rate increase letters, dude. I never would have thought that is such a approaching that threshold with clients that you've had for a long time, or clients that should be a bit higher, but I like them, they're sweet, they bring me water or they bring me popsicles or whatever. I'll leave them alone. Maybe next year I'll go up on them a little bit.
Right,
dude. That is such a slow killer in our business. And little things like that, I just never really realized until over the last couple of years. And I think all of us hearing y'all do that, seeing y'all implement things like that, gives all of the rest of the community around the nation and in our local areas the courage to approach clients to be like, well, with everything going on, we need to be here instead of here.
Right.
And then even implementing a letter like that where you just put it out and you don't even worry about it. And, everybody, because that's our nest egg, our business. And we always feel like if we hike the price up a little bit, or if we're going to try to go from weekly to bi-weekly to weekly, we're going to lose our clients. But it's amazing that if you're delivering, you're a great business. People like you. You got that relationship with your clients, commercial and residential alike. If you go and increase by 5% or 2-3%, or maybe even sometimes a big hike, they may even still keep you around because they know you. And I don't think the community really had that general mindset, not even 5, 6, 7 years ago, man.
Right.
I just don't think it did. And that's why nobody found a profit in lawn mowing, because it just wasn't being done right. Well, so that's another year marker that y'all, I think, have made a big stamp on on the community of being emboldening us, emboldening everyone to take that step.
Dude, and thanks for like the plug. I mean, and frankly, like we're all learning. We're all learning together. I mean, the cool thing is I know how many of those letters were downloaded this last 4 months that we've had ours available. And the exciting thing to me is not like, oh, we sold 100 letters or 1,000 letters like that. Like I couldn't care less. It's like the exciting thing to me is, hey, every letter is, hey, we're increasing your price for your lawn $3 to $5 to $10 times 20, 50, 80, 100 clients, right? And then times 1,000 people that have the letter, let's say. Like, dude, that's like millions of dollars, bro. That go back into our pockets, our families' incomes.
Isn't that something? That's awesome, man.
That's the crazy.
That's awesome.
I always tell people, like, that's the wild part about doing all the social media stuff is like you got 1,000 rate increase letters that go out, and like you said, I heard Lamont Harrison just a few weeks ago. He was talking about how he had like 10 clients that he sent the letter to. I think 1 or 2 dropped off, but the 8 he's doing equals as much money now as the 10 he was doing. So
that's something. Golly, that's great.
So if you're not like making more, at least you're working less to make the same.
That's right. Yeah.
And that, I mean, and it's not only just dollars and cents with what you're bringing in revenue, because I mean, you're saving wear and tear, ball joints, brake pads, gasoline.
It's your time. It's your body, bro.
Dude,
I mean, your most important asset, you're saving. Yes.
Yeah. Amen to that. Well, hey, I got to button it up here because I got another call here in about 5 minutes. But this was just a fun conversation to catch up with you, man. We don't get to do this enough, but
thanks so much for the opportunity, dude. This is, I listened to you for like a year or two now, and I just so excited to be on the podcast. Thanks for making the time.
No, well, hey, I'll say this because I want to make sure I say this publicly. Thank you for sending the gifts that you did to my wife and I after Launchpreneur Academy. You sent a little care package with a couple books and a couple other things, which and we don't have to share a bunch of it, but it was very grateful. We're very grateful. It was very appreciative. I know Liz cried.
I'm humbled.
My eyes got sweaty because we don't cry. And yeah, right.
The grass. It's the grass from my shirt, bro.
Yeah. So I was like, "What's up?"
Cry.
I'm not
I
crying.
I got hobbies.
I'm not crying. I'm not crying. You're crying, right? But and
bless you guys, man. Bless y'all. That's awesome.
It's really cool just to see so many of you guys are so into us as we try to sow into you, and so we don't take it for granted for sure. But hey, last parting thoughts. Anything that you want to share with these guys, really quick? We'll have to get a part 2 on. Maybe we'll do a fall recap with you, but because I just enjoyed our conversation. We went like 500 different directions, but any parting thoughts you want to share with these guys while we got them?
Yeah. Stay encouraged from start to finish. If you're in the middle of your career, man, I would just encourage everybody to find a good balance in life. I know there's several schools of thought on that, but that's what I found over the last several years as far as turning my business around is, you're increasing your business, you're changing things in your business, or if you're starting to implement new things, please put a good balance in your life. Money's currency. That's why they call it currency. It comes and goes. So it'll happen one of these days if you're a good service, if you're doing what you're supposed to. But if you can put that good balance of your own life mixed in with your family in there, that's where the gold is. That's where the success is. That's where we all get into it. So we can we can win back our time. We can get margin with our family. We can get margin with our friends, our finances and everything. Just make sure and put a good level-headed balance. If you're out there starting, know when to quit, know when to start, know when to turn the dials where they're supposed to be, and that may take some time, and that's okay. But just kind of make that the goal. I mean, it's fun laying stripes, it's fun making the money, it's fun with all the big equipment and getting new things and stuff like that. But that's one good thought that I could leave with everybody is just make sure you got an equal balance on your life, because if not, one or the other, these ways will take you over on any end of the spectrum, and you might wind up losing out on something grand that could have been grand if you don't do it with a good teeter totter on there, with a good balance of everything.
Man, so good. I love listening to what you guys say because it's like it's pure, and Together in the Trades, Brittany Allman said, "Make the time that you don't think you have." And
she couldn't have said it better. Man.
So eloquent, 6 words, whatever, like just bam. And I was like, dude, like, why didn't you just open up with that? We all could have just went back to Chip and Joe's place, but individual. I love it. But Andrew, seriously, appreciate you taking time to be on the show. You're taking some family time away.
My pleasure.
It's early morning for both of us, but thank you for taking the time, and we appreciate you, man. So where can people find you? And we'll button up the podcast right here.
Yeah, I'm on the gram at Southern Suns Landscape. I know it's kind of long, but Southern Suns Landscape. Same thing on Facebook. I got a little thing on YouTube that I've tried to start, but with everything getting with the season taken off, I'm not pro like you guys yet, so it's kind of primitive. So maybe not visit that.
All good.
But I know at Southern Suns Landscape on the gram. Same thing on Facebook, and then my website is southernsuns.com.
Cool.
And Suns is SONS.
Gotcha.
Rather than SUNS.
Gotcha. All right, brother. Well, hey, we'll definitely tag this up on Instagram. If you guys need to get in touch with Andrew, shoot him a DM. He's a really cool dude and very knowledgeable as well. And hopefully, Andrew, we see you either at Expo or maybe Entrepreneur Academy live again this year. Always appreciate catching up with you, man. You know that. And this was good. So thanks again for taking time to be on the show.
We appreciate you guys. Congratulations again, Brian. Give my best to Liz and. Keep at it, man. Keep strong. You're awesome.
Amen.
Thanks so much for having me on again.
You bet, brother. All right, guys. Well, hey, we'll button it up right here. This was another episode of the Fullerton Unfiltered podcast. You guys, appreciate you listening. And don't forget to leave those all-important ratings and reviews as you guys scroll down. Look down at your phone, and you got to go click onto the next track, maybe the Green Industry podcast, maybe the Kid Contractor podcast. But before you do, leave us those ratings and reviews. We really appreciate it. Guys, let's kick it back over to Marty, Mr. Producer, in the ATL, and we will catch up with you guys here on the next one.
Entrepreneur Academy Live 2021 is going to be the biggest and best one yet. And we want to see you Saturday, November 13th in Novi, Michigan. Join hundreds of entrepreneurs just like yourself who are looking to crush it in their business and make 2022 the most profitable year ever. This year's speakers are a who's who of the industry. Greg Whitstock, Corey Ballard, Keith Kalfas, Mark Parker, Caleb and Brittany Almond, Haver Pete, Brian and Liz Fullerton, and Jeff Joyner. Entrepreneur Academy Live 2021 is a powerful and inspiring all-day conference designed to help you take your business to the next level. And it's brought to you by Xmark, RedMax, SureTrack Trailers, and Yard Book. If you make it to town Friday, November the 12th, you're invited to hang out, network, and have a blast at the Full Throttle Adrenaline Park, brought to you by Toro's Horizon 360. Come ride endless laps on the high-powered go-karts, play virtual reality games, and win great prizes. Excited about bringing your spouse to the event? Discounted spouse tickets are available. Excited about bringing your whole crew? Group discounts of 4 or more also available. Do whatever you have to do to make it to Entrepreneur Academy Live 2021 and grab your tickets before they're sold out. Tickets will go fast, so if you'd like to get more information, visit us at LaunchpreneurAcademy.com or use the link in the show description and follow along with the hashtag LAL2021.
Thanks for taking the time to listen to the Fullerton Unfiltered podcast with Brian Fullerton. We hope you enjoyed this production. If so, please consider leaving us a 5-star review for the show. While the techniques and ideas presented here are designed to help you grow a more successful and profitable business, no one can guarantee these results for you. We want to emphasize that entrepreneurship is not easy, and the ideas presented here are just the opinions of Brian Fullerton and his respective guests. No one can guarantee success for you. That being said, we hope the ideas presented here help you and motivate you to go on out there and crush it with your own business.
Fullerton Unfiltered Podcast.
Thanks for listening, and we hope to see you on the next episode.
This has been a Brian Fullerton and Mr. Producer production.